Carl here from Brrraaains Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial for short, and it's horror movie review time. I'm returning to the Lake Placid franchise, and do you know what we don't get enough of anymore in horror? Franchise entries being called the final chapter, and not actually being the final chapter. From Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare, not actually being the final nightmare, to The Final Destination not being the last stop on that franchise. Then there is, of course, Friday the 13th that had two final entries that weren't the last. Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. Or how about Saw, the final chapter? Puppet Master 5, the final chapter. Omen 3, the final conflict. And even Halloween H20, 20 years later. There is something so lovable about calling your film the last one and not sticking to it. Who actually believes when they see final chapter that it will ever be that anymore? And Lake Placid, the crocodile-based series of movies that have got progressively worse, also did this. The fourth movie, it's only the fourth, in the franchise is called Lake Placid, the Final Chapter. And it will be followed by two more movies as of the time of recording. Who knows what the future holds there. Written by David Reed, directed by Don Michael Paul, and picking up directly after the events of Lake Placid 3. The movie begins with the character of Reba, remember her, Yancy Butler's character, having survived the crocs, killing the last one in the supermarket. There we go, the last one's dead. That was a short movie.
After 13 years of unending terror.
You again?
Get ready.
Get out of the water!
For one last bite. Yancy Butler.
This would be a good time to run.
And Nightmare on Elm Street's Robert Englund.
Kitty, 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 kitty.
Lake Placid, the final chapter.
No, of course, there's more croc mayhem to come. As a year later, the lake has now been completely fenced off, and any crocs inside are left to live, die on their own terms. It's actually not very clear, that aspect. Basically, no unauthorized people are allowed inside. Took them long enough to think of this. But of course, that doesn't stop poachers sneaking in to steal some crocodile eggs. Of course, this goes as badly as expected, and one of the gates is left open. So you're thinking, gate open? Does one of the crocodiles escape and start causing havoc in the nearby town? That could freshen things up. That could be fun. No. Instead, a school swim team end up being driven through the open gate and to the lake by the distracted driver. They were planning to go to a different lake. He wasn't paying attention and ends up at the wrong lake. And of course, it's probably not a good idea to get in any practice laps here. One of the team members, Chloe, played by Poppy Lee Fryer, just happens to be the daughter of Sheriff Theresa, played by Elizabeth Rom, and she, alongside Lieutenant Ryan, played by Paul Nicholas, and with the assistance of Reba, because she's in this movie too, need to get in and save the kids from a hungry batch of crocodiles. It's not a great story, as you can probably tell, but at least this one has some logic about it. The events, while wholly predictable, make sense, and it's an easy film to follow, even if you didn't even watch the last entry. In fact, if this is the first Lake Placid movie I ever watch, although that'd be weird, it's not going to make much difference nonetheless. Aside from a reference to the origins of the crocodiles, there's nothing really to link this film to the franchise roots at all. What it is the usual teens in the wrong place at the wrong time being killed one by a big baddie. In this case, it's crocodiles who, incredibly, in this film, have mastered the art of stealth on land. That is not a joke. These crocs are sneaky buggers, but few won't be able to help root for them, as Lake Placid, the final chapter, has nothing but fodder as far as characters go. Even the main players are just copy and paste of characters we've seen 1,000 times in horror. In fact, we've seen in this franchise several times already. At least, though, Lake Placid, the final chapter, remembers that the crocodiles are the star of the show and makes sure they get to munch their way through a substantial cast, even if the effects have that made-for-TV look about them. It is par for the course with this franchise, though, at this stage, so it's hard to be too critical of that. If you're expecting quality CGI and effects, you've come to the wrong place. Overall, Lake Placid, the final chapter, it's neither good or bad. It's the fourth entry in a franchise that didn't exactly start off hot, in my opinion. It's got killer CGI crocs killing vapid characters you love to hate, with a familial drama involved and a romance subplot. There you go. That'll do. Until the next one, what do you reckon? What's your thoughts on the final chapter of Lake Placid? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to see more content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It is gratefully appreciated. You can find us over at gbhbl.com, our full website, where reviews, news and so much more goes up daily. We're also on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, at gbhbl. Just search for gbhbl and you will find us out there. We also have merchandise on sale. You can access the shop via the website.